The nice thing about Bonaire is you can get really close to the island. You're not allowed to anchor as most of the shoreline is a park. You have to use the government moorings provided. Unfortunately, the ropes that were used with the moorings were not very good, so I decided to put a couple of my own down for safety. There you can see the blocks that hold the mooring lines, but of course it's the ropes that are the worst part, and that's one that broke earlier on. This one I actually knotted together, which is hardly a proper fix, but it would have to do until I put my own down. Got a couple of extra crew that have been living on the bottom of the boat. There's one of them there. Big, large underwater crabs. They've been with the boat now for thousands of miles.
Making sure I got all the bits I need. Spare fuel here. Weight belt, fins, radio in there, flip-flops.
A few days later, some friends and I decided to take the dinghies and go across the small channel to an island called Klein Bonaire, small Bonaire, which was a beautiful sort of desert island. It was a great trip getting across. Coming back later, it turned into a bit of an ordeal. By the time we'd arrived on the island, the wind had come up. You can see that with our t-shirts blowing. And I was starting to worry just a little bit on how we were going to get back. After a walk, we decided to go for a snorkel. But to be honest, it was a little bit disappointing. With time running short, we decided to leave. The wind had come up. It doesn't look much on the camera, but it was quite sporting. In the end, we just had a good fun ride back, but it kind of focused the mind there for a bit.
Nearly up the other side! Piece of cake! That was fun.
This has got to be the weirdest place I have ever been in my life. Pink water and foam everywhere. That is crystal. This is just part of the secret cocaine mines of Bonaire. Once they got the cocaine out of the ground, they load it onto this conveyor belt, and it's then loaded onto ships and taken to New York. And they were last seen trespassing on the mine before they got arrested and taken away. How's that for a dive site? This is our car for the day. What a great place to park a car, look at this. Here on Bonaire, they've probably got what are the coolest number plates in the entire world. Just look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Came across this place. This is actually an old slave camp. These are slave houses for the workers that used to work in the salt mines. I'm actually in one of these things now. It's like room for 2 people to sleep, I guess. I think they've had new roofs put on, but nevertheless it's pretty basic. But at least you're out of the sun. It must have been hellish. Hot as hell. It is rather weird to think people actually lived in these things. The salt pans are just back there. But if I swing around, you can see the coast and some ruins and an obelisk down there. And there again, another obelisk, if I can pronounce that right, in front of yet another slave village. Each coloured obelisk would represent a different grade of salt, and the captains out at sea could tell where they had to moor their ships to get the correct salt that they needed. Now, as with many other historical sites, this particular site on Bonaire is given over to tourism and scuba diving. This is where you fix all the boards, is it? Cool. This place is a beach bum's paradise. Just look at this gear. Yes. It had been a long time since I'd done some scuba diving. Many years had passed since I'd done some proper sea dives. So I wanted to go see the reefs around Bonaire. I hired a professional dive master to come with me just to check me out. But everything was fine, it all came back to me. And I had a good afternoon diving the reefs around Bonaire.
Hello, mate.
This is another of those really cool boat yards. They do sail making here. Some of the guys are having wind scoops made for the boats. Holy crap. That was somebody's beautiful boat once. I can see why this ended up in here now. Look, reef damage. This is odd. It's like a small steel sailing bargey boat kind of affair. That's probably worth a few quid in Europe. This is what will happen to Shadow if I don't keep up with the rust. This is what happens to steel boats if they're not taken care of. I could do with those mast steps though. This is interesting. He's added an extra piece of keel at the back here. You're looking great today. You're looking so nice. Did you like this? Yeah, you got in the way up. You sure are. Where's your bone? Where's your bone? While we had the hire car, we put it to good use. Folk shopping. Just to prove that it's not all mine, that's mine there. And now I've got to get it into the dinghy. They're busy with theirs, and mine, well, it's not all beer. There's other things as well. There's one full dinghy. Essential supplies, Odin. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks also to my Patreons for their amazing support. If you'd like to help, please check out my Patreon page. For real-time updates, I'm on Facebook, Adventures of an Old Seadog. Please like me there, links below. Please don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. Next time on Adventures of an Old Seadog, I get to hang out and meet some really cool YouTube sailing celebs. I'm on Ran at the moment and they're trying to get me drunk. They've run out of beer and they're trying to feed me some stuff called Old Danish. Oh God. He's still bringing stuff up from below. And then I meet a monster.
He's going to steal my shoes or something.
And then things get serious. So there's a panic on here. There's a big storm coming. Moorings that I'm on here are not safe because when whatever it is passes through, the wind changes direction and it'll be blowing me onto the beach.